Fly ball left field, tagging from third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rick hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Deep to right field. Way up there and way second down,
And welcome back to the Stupid Money Podcast. Probably outside of losing in the playoffs, this has been probably the worst one we will record in quite a while. Wow. I mean, we talked about this 22-game stretch. We did a whole episode on it. And we're both kind of like anything between 10 to 12 wins would be more than okay. We're now 12 games through that 22-game stretch, and they're 3-9 in the stretch. They're not winning 10 to 11 to 12 of these games. It's just not happening, especially since you consider what I believed were the two easier parts of it are done.
Yeah.
Obviously we were totally wrong about the Pirates, by the way. They wanted to throw their good pitchers against the Cardinals, the series after the Phillies, which made sense for them because it's a division team. You'd rather make up games on them than a team not in your division who's way ahead of you in the standings for the NL anyway. So the Phillies actually ended up missing pretty much all of the Pirates' good pitchers and still lost 2 out of 3. Then they go to Minnesota and just totally forgot how to hit. Then they come home, and this Yankee series was Bryce Harper and Trey Turner are absolutely horrible right now. There is no other way to put this. They are trash. Harper's 1 for 30 with an opposite field home run in a game that ended up being 8-0. Turner, when's the last time Turner hit a ball to the infield? Everything is pulled over to the shortstop or he strikes out. He's beaten out a couple infield grounders because he's very fast. That's about it. The two of them have not left the infield since in something that was not caught, I should say. Like the two of them haven't left the infield, it seems like, in weeks. Like I know it's been about a week, but this feels like eternity. And I think on top of it, the pitching is regressing to the mean. It's at a really bad time because the offense is giving them about 3 or 4 runs a game. So they're not really getting shut out too much, but they're not doing enough to put the game safely out of reach for the pitching. And it's resulted in 4 leads of 3 or more runs blown. So it's really bad. It's a bad time for the pitching to become average because the offense has gone below average. I don't know how to put it. It's bad. The Braves are only 6.5 back now. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because especially like what have you done for me lately? The Yankees series is kind of right in front of us. We're recording this Wednesday after they just got swept. So you look at this 3-game series and the pitching was abysmal. The first game was 14-4. Some of that is fluff because, they went to Marte in that game when it was, 9-3 and they tacked on, like, Yankees fans were praising Jazz Chisholm for hitting 2 home runs. Like the second one wasn't off of Garrett Stubbs in the 9th inning, who didn't even play that day. He just got put into pitch. So like 14-4, whatever. But then, the offense was atrocious, but you lose in 12 innings on Tuesday night. And I think they scored, 7 runs? Was that game 8-7 or 7-6?
7-6 was the extra inning game.
Today was also 7-6 or 6-5?
6-5, yeah.
But like the stats, if you do some window shopping and look at those box scores, you're going to see a lot of hits. I think we had almost double-digit hits today. if not last night. But the difference is, even just the difference between these two teams in this series, it's been a tale, as old as time since this core's been here, and really just, the Phillies of the last half decade. The hitting with runners in scoring position is the biggest problem. Like, they'll get 2 singles, and we heard this dumb stuff before the season of trying to piece together, build a roster or build an offensive approach like the Diamondbacks did to us in the playoff series last year, and, string together big innings by not relying on the home run and hitting and stealing bases. But this series especially, we saw how difficult that is because you're getting 2 singles, but, everybody and their mother is throwing 100 miles an hour out of the bullpen with, 15 inches of horizontal break and sweepers. And, the stuff in terms of pitching has never been better. So you're getting 2 singles, great. And then you're getting 2 strikeouts right after. And, if there's 1 out, inning over. If there's no outs, a sac fly, or, there's no such thing as a productive out with 2 outs. So, we saw it today. They had 2 outs and then, a walk and a hit by pitch, and all of a sudden the bases are loaded with 2 outs. Great. And then Marsh comes up and strikes out. The situational hitting just isn't there. We saw it last night. Extra innings, the Yankees didn't score. Hoffman did a hell of a job to hold them. And then Bohm comes up and grounds the first pitch to shortstop, and the ghost runner that you get gifted on the second doesn't advance. And all of a sudden you're going to the next inning where you have to face guys like Judge and Soto at the top of that order. And, if you're giving those guys the difference between their lineup and our lineup right now, ours is, on paper deeper, but Judge and Soto are doing the little things where if you give those 2 guys right now a guy on second, Judge will sure hit 40 home runs through 100 games like he has, but we saw how many times this series him flip a single to right field. Right now, Harper and Turner are going for broke, and Harper is getting abused by fastballs. He's missing pitches right down the middle. And I've talked about this a bunch with Castellanos, but he's getting abused by fastballs, so he's late on the fastball, and then he's trying to catch up to it guessing, and he's swinging at balls that are, 55-foot breaking balls, and he just looks stupid. So he'll be fine. Like, it's Bryce Harper. He goes through these stretches every year. This one's a little bit more exaggerated than normal and going on for a little bit longer, especially because it kind of got sandwiched around the break a little bit. But I don't know what it is. Kevin Long just always has the offenses that go through these dry spells that just seem to start guessing instead of, like, doing what they did for the first 80 games.
Yeah, and my problem is this is looking like the playoffs again, which means that it could rear its head again in the playoffs, which is a problem. Harper's body language is awful. He doesn't look like he's there. Or, quite frankly, most of them don't have good body language right now. Bohm, who's kind of hitting, still has his fits. The only one who looks positive is Hayes, the new addition, who we didn't talk about, but at this point I'm not talking about trade deadline acquisitions. And I don't know if part of that's just that he's happy that he's playing every day and he's trying to endear himself in a new place. He's been pretty positive. Should have had 2 game-winning home runs today. I mean, that was torture, but he's looked okay. I still don't think he's an everyday player, but he's a freaking upgrade. He's already, I think, drove in more runs than Pache did when he was here, so I can't complain about that. But man, the rest of them, like Turner's looking like how he looked at the beginning of last year, where it's a lot of first pitch swinging over a ball that's way off the plate, down 0-1, foul the next one off, it's 0-2, and then it's either a strikeout or he's grounding out to shortstop. It's the same thing that we saw early last year. Nick Castellanos is not hitting for power, but he's actually driving in runs, and I think they really need to consider moving him up in the lineup because no one else is doing a damn thing. Like, Bryson Stott drove me crazy last night, and I guess it was the 10th inning they left the bases loaded. I know they left the bases loaded a ton, but the game is tied in the 10th inning with 2 outs. You're the home team. He can't walk you. So you should be at least trying to look to walk. And I think, didn't he just hit someone like right before him or something? Like the dude was a little wild. Like, stand in there. Maybe he hits you, or maybe it's a wild pitch. The swinging at the first pitch just to weakly fly out to left is crazy. And it's like, that's the problem. Like I'm having, there's no situational awareness to what they're doing. It's just very much going through the motions, it feels like. And that's what's really irritating me, because about 5 of these games in the past 2 weeks were very winnable if someone moved a runner, if someone just grounded one to the other side, or just tried to slap a single instead of hitting a 3-run home run. And I don't know if that home run derby performance like got to the whole team with Bohm or what, but like it's, I don't know. I think their fault kind of is all of these dramatic home run playoff moments they've had the last 2 years. I think they try way too hard to recreate that stuff. Obviously, the Hoskins bat spike, Harper's bedlam at the bank, the 3-run home run, the 2 home run game for Harper after the attaboy thing. Castellanos taking Strider deep twice in a clincher divisional game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think they try too hard to replicate those scenarios every day when they're not there to be had, and I think it's their downfall.
Yeah, and the data point that you brought up with Stott specifically drives me crazy, because, like, the numbers for him on the first pitch are decent, but if he goes up there with nobody on base, he just, like, gets in the box and, somebody throws 92 or 93 right down the middle, and he just does his little, like, arm movement in the box, like, seeing it out, like, going up there with intent to take no matter what that first pitch. And then you get in a spot where the bases are loaded, he walked a guy or hit a guy right before you, and you're swinging at the first pitch right down the middle and hitting a lazy fly ball to center field. It's like, if you're going to swing at the first pitch, sure, but it just seems like last night specifically, and a lot of times when he swings at the first pitch, and not just him in general, but he drives me crazy with how he takes first pitches. But sometimes, like the Bohm ground ball last night, I think they're just swinging at the first pitch to swing. Like, in hitters counts like that, 0-0, 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, like, there's no intent to do, like, damage.
I think it feels like they're afraid to strike out. They don't want to get behind in the count, so they're just trying to attack the first pitch.
Yeah, and then they're like, all right, I hit a 90-mile-an-hour ground ball to shortstop. Oh, well, leg it out next time. But, like, if you're, like, next game, if Bryson Stott went up there on the first pitch and, swung to the point where he was, down on a knee or spun himself into the ground, I'd rather that than a lazy fly ball, because, like, first pitch, if you go up there with a plan to swing at the first pitch, then, like, go up there to try and put one in the third deck. Don't go up there to just try and make contact with it and pray that you don't hit your signature lazy fly ball to left field that he always does. It just, I don't know what happened between the All-Star break and now, but it just seems like the approaches have gone out the window. And I don't know if it's, the dog days are catching up to them and, it's one of these spurts. They just have to regroup, or to me, it's the 3rd or 4th year we've had them. These streaks with Kevin Long just happen too often. And I know it's not easy to keep up the pace that they were doing for the entirety of the season, but these cold spells just happen too often, and it's tough to point fingers at one person when the approach for so many guys in the lineup consistently seems to shift like it does.
Yeah. The last couple of years, there's been guys that were hot at times and guys that were cold at times, and it kind of evened out in a sense. This is a lot more drastic, what we've seen during the last 3 weeks, where it's pretty much everyone is cold. Like, Alec Bohm had 4 RBIs in July, and his batting average stayed about the same. I don't think it had anything to do with him. I think it was that Turner and Harper were just absolutely awful.
I think Harper's batting average around the break was what, like 300, 298?
He was at 296 when the homestand started, I think.
He's at 275.
Yeah. It's ridiculous this late in the season that your average can drop that much in a week. Like it's the end of July. It's not May. Like that's insane.
He's batting .059 since the All-Star break.
Yeah. I don't know. And like, it drives me nuts today. Like in the ninth inning, Clay Holmes absolutely sucks. Schwarber hits ball hard up the middle. Then you think Hayes almost gets one. So you're like, okay, he looks hittable. He had a rough night the night before. They throw him back out there a couple hours later, pretty much. And it's just like the first pitch you see, it's a ground ball right to the second baseman. The game's over. Like I don't know, like the last couples, pretty much since he's been here, especially 2021 on, it always seems like he hit the home run in those moments, you know? Like last year, he just went on that insane run where every time he came up in the ninth, they either took the lead or the game was tied. Mm-hmm. We're not getting that right now. And I don't know if Thompson has the balls to do this. Thompson, today, the Ruiz thing today, by the way, just ridiculous move. That pretty much, that lost him the game too. We could say what we want with the offense. I mean, bring in I know like everyone got work the night before, but he literally went to his 8th guy out of 8 guys, and I'd say pretty much everyone except Hoffman at least could have gave you a batter today.
Yeah.
And he went to the worst guy in a big spot. Like
in a 1-run game.
Yeah. I don't know. Like he seems a little checked out about things. I know he can't control what Harper and Turner are doing, but
he didn't have the best homestand with the bullpen.
No. Yeah, like the Strom thing too, where he gave up the 3-run home run at Chisholm.
That's more pitch calling on my mind. But
well, yeah, it's that. But also to me, it's like you have Estevez now. He's the new closer, by the way. We're not going to get into that. So you had him for the 9th. So Jeff Hoffman was getting a lot of eighth innings because it's when this top of the lineup was coming up, and then this is when Alvarado was blowing leads in the 9th to the bottom of the order and was driving me crazy. Now there's a guy in the 9th. So if the top of the lineup comes up in the 7th, they're not going to come up again. So put Hoffman, who you think is your best non-closer reliever, put him there. I get it. Like Strom should not have been in that situation. He walked too many guys, but I think it's a spot where for your best reliever, that's not your closer.
And if you're playing, like, if you want to give him, I don't know, between that and the pitch.
Yeah, go ahead.
This series was just miserable from start to finish, really. Pitch calling in big spots was not good. Bullpen was not good. Offense was atrocious, and it's not going to get any easier with the West Coast coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot of pride and ego they seem to not be able to get past here. Like in extras last night, when the one inning, I guess was that the 10th? I don't know what innings were which. There was one that Harper started on second. I know Alec Bohm maybe doesn't bunt a lot, but there's too much ego there where, he's our cleanup hitter. So screw the fact we only need 1 run to win this game. And if he bunts and then all of a sudden, Marsh puts a ball in the air in the outfield or is lucky enough to slap one through a moved in infield, the game's over. It's Alec Bohm's the cleanup hitter, so we can't ask him to bunt. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like there's too much BS going on right now with that kind of stuff, and it's driving me crazy. Kind of like I think there are times where Wheeler and Nola get a little too much benefit of the doubt for being left in, and it hurts too. I just think that Thompson's like afraid to offend these dudes. Like the whole vibes thing is driving me crazy. Because the past couple of years, especially 2022, people pointed at vibes as to how they make the Game 6 of the World Series. I'm telling you right now, still going off of that 2 years later is going to be why they don't win. Because they are purposely not making moves to make the roster better because they've turned this into a frat. and it's crazy. Like I don't know what you can do, but like they wanted to bring in Hayes to just take Pache's spot, and Pache was, I guess, a likable guy, but he wasn't in the middle of that craziness vibes thing. So that's a problem. I don't know. That's part of it too. Like those two things are just driving me nuts right now.
Yeah, and I think another thing for me on going off the ego thing, like it seems like, yeah, maybe the 8 All-Star thing played a role in that, and a lot of people feel like they are, and all 8 All-Stars were deserved. I'm not saying that, but then I saw something the other day, and I think Matt Gelb mentioned it on his podcast. Like the reason they traded Gregory Soto wasn't so much that he was like awful, but he was unhappy with his role. Like who the hell is Gregory Soto to be unhappy with his role? Like there were a lot of personalities on this team that I think, we're like, oh, we have the best record in baseball. That means, all 26 of us are performing above par. That means I can, talk out, say things, feel some way. Johan Rojas of all people, you get to the World Series and we're going to beat you. Like,
yeah, they've been awful since he said that, by the way. They haven't won a series since he said that. It's
like, yes, confidence is one thing, and through your first 80 games, you earned it. But there's no such as a first half championship to kind of, talk about, get to the World Series and you're going to have to beat us, or the 7th man in an 8-man bullpen complaining about his role. Like, yeah, they had a really good first half, but the first 2 weeks of the second half here kind of showed it. I think they might have started to count their chickens a little bit before the eggs hatched.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I don't know. This road trip, they've never played good on the West Coast. They actually do play. I'm going to regret saying this. They actually don't play that bad at Dodger Stadium. That was actually kind of where they had a turning point was that 2022 when Harper went like ballistic out there?
2022 is when, yeah, he went nuclear out there.
So let's hope that happens again. They do play good out there, so I'm just hoping it helps. Seattle cannot hit, but their pitching scares me with the way this offense is right now. And we're facing 3 of their better pitchers. They're not getting a break here.
Yeah.
And the Phillies are throwing Phillips, who somehow is the only guy who has a win, I think, in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
So they're throwing him. I guess we'll take that as a W. Kobe Allard. Yeah, so because Ranger Suarez is hurt and Taijuan Walker hurt and Spencer Turnbull's hurt. And Zach Wheeler, we'll see. Zach Wheeler has been really good outside of 2 starts. It just so happens those 2 starts come against the 2 teams that'll probably represent the AL in the World Series. So I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah, I don't know. His ERA in those 2 games is like 9, and then in the other 18 starts or whatever, it's like 2.2. So I don't know. There's a lot of I don't knows right now.
And then they have to go to Arizona, who just got Josh Bell, of course.
Oh my God! And I think that's one of these is a 4-game series. I don't know which one is
Arizona is.
Oh, nice.
I think.
Yeah, that'll go well. We know how they went last time they were out there. I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping they get rejuvenated before that, because if they have to wait till the 7th game, or I guess, yeah, the 7th game of that road trip to get rejuvenated, chances are the other 6 didn't go too well. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Division League cannot get any lower at this point because you still have 6 games against the Braves, so I'd rather not go below 6.5. It's getting bad quick. So we will see. We'll be back after this West Coast trip. Hopefully Bryce Harper can hit a ball in the infield. Really nice, and he could stop crying and everything. And oh my God. Yes, we'll be back after that, and hopefully just go 5-5. Don't lose any more ground. I'm not asking you to go 8-2, but they can't let this get any worse because it's pretty bad. But we'll talk to you then.